Hey, welcome back guys. This is my second video of the day and today we're doing 3 hard TMUA questions. So some of these questions are some that you've never seen before. You may have seen some of these. I've taken some of them from the map paper. I think I've taken most of them from the map paper. So that is fine. But anyway, I'm going to be going through 3 questions. I'll be pasting it as we go. But I'll be explaining also on the way of how we are actually going to do this. So question number 1 says in the range 0 to 2 pi the equation has this. So I want you guys to try it first and I will do it. Okay, so assuming you have done it, hopefully you guys got the correct answer. Just saying I want to go from very easy type questions to extremely hard questions that could come up. So as a difficulty, this question out of 5 I rate it around a 1. It's not that difficult, honestly. It just requires a bit of general trig knowledge and you are fine. So our first instinct, right, whenever you see these questions are actually can you graph it? But graphing this will be difficult, right? So you don't want to graph it. You can actually just cosine the both sides. So you can go, okay, sine x will equal arc sine half, and you should know that arc sine half gives you all these like numbers, right? It gives you pi out of 3, comma 5 pi over 3, comma 5 pi over 3, and you can just do that off general trig knowledge, right, of your normal A level trig knowledge. Sorry, 11 out of 3 pi, I think it is, and you go, okay, plus minus plus minus plus minus. So because it's an even function, right? So you can do that. I need to get rid of this messy part. So now you go, okay, if sine x equals that, that means my sine x will give me these answers as well, right? If you didn't know how I came up with these extra values, it's basically just using symmetry. I'm trying to keep it short because it's a bit simple, this one. I'm just using symmetry to be able to do it. So I just, okay, go like half is here. I've got these values already. I'm going to find the rest of the values just using symmetry. So if you know pi over 3 is here, so you know that minus pi over 3 will be this side, right? Because this distance is the same as this distance, is equivalent, right? And then you can obviously just add this much degree, go this much, add this much degree, and you'll get your second answer as well. So that is fine. And then you want to go, okay, sine x equals that, right? Then you go, okay, what is the range of sine x, right? Sine x has a range to it, so does cos x, but sine x also has a range. So sine x is between 1 and minus 1, right? So we can say, okay, minus 1 sine x 1, okay? But the thing is that all these numbers, they are actually outside of the range, okay? You can think of it like pi, right? What do you guys think? Like, how do you do approximation for this? Well, pi is 3.14, right? And you're dividing that by 3. Instantly, that's going to be greater than 1, right? That's going to be greater than 1. So that means that, okay, if that is greater than 1, that means that my negative will obviously be less than minus 1. So pi over 3 won't work. And all these numbers going across this way is already greater than pi out of 3. So you won't get any answers, right? There will be no solutions for this because the line will be like this, right? For pi out of 3. You've got no solutions crossing my sine x curve. So it's going to be answer A, which means there's no solutions. Okay. I want to now give you another question. This will take some time. Fortunately, we have to copy and paste the questions each time. Okay, I'll let you guys do this question for a bit. Okay, I'll let you guys do this question for a bit, and let's see how you guys do for this one. Hopefully you guys have given it a go for now. So right now, what I want to do is think of it it's a bit confusing at the start because you haven't actually dealt with parabola. Whoops, my bad. You haven't dealt with parabolas before, but I mean, like, you haven't probably used the term parabola before, so it might be a bit like new to you. But it's just like the curve is a bit straightforward. It's x squared minus 2ax plus 1, right? So how would you guys think of doing this? So the turning point of the parabola is closest to origin when that, right? When that is true. So I think the first thing you want to probably do is probably factorize this out, maybe. Like, you want to find the probably the turning point, right? So you can either you can differentiate it, right, or you can just complete the square. Um, Either way is actually fine, right? Squared is 2ax plus 1. So, okay, you can go x minus a squared minus a squared plus 1 equals 0, right? So that means my turning points will be a comma 1 minus a squared, right? It's going to be this part and this part. And now you're going, okay, I want the distance to be as small as possible to the origin, right? So you can use just Pythagoras, right? So if you have a graph, for example, you have the point origin over here, you have the curve a1 minus a squared here. You're trying to minimize this distance, right? And the word minimize should give you a hint of something to differentiate or complete the square again. So we can use Pythagoras here, right? You go, okay, this part is going to be a, this part is going to be 1 minus a squared, okay? So that means my distance squared, let's say d squared, right? D squared will equal 1 minus a squared plus a squared, right? Then you can expand this thing out and you'll get this. And now what you want to do, you actually want to minimize d squared. The way you do that, you can either, I think the best way to do this is complete the square always. You can say, okay, d squared will equal, complete the square, let u equal a squared, right? Let's actually put that, let's put it in terms that you guys probably prefer. So you can go u squared minus u plus 1, right? So you can go, okay, d squared will equal u minus a half squared, right? Half squared minus 1 over 4 plus 1, which equal d squared equals u minus a half squared plus 3 out of 4, right? So I said, okay, u equals a squared, so that's just going to equal d squared equals a squared minus a half squared plus 3 out of 4, right? So now we've got that, and now we want to say, okay, when is this a minimum? Well, it's a minimum when we go a squared minus a half gives us 0, right? So a squared equals a half, and that is when it's a minimum, and I think that is an answer, yeah. So a will equal plus or minus 1 over root 2, okay, and that will give you the answer over here. As the difficulty of this question, I rated it a 2, right? I don't want to enter the 5 zones yet because I know you guys are just starting the TMUA revision, so I don't want to enter too much difficult questions and like overwhelming you guys on these questions. So I think that is fine. Let's go for one last question, which I do think is much more logic type question. I'll let you guys have a go at it as well. So, yes. Okay. This is the last question I'm going to do with you guys, and I'm going to make a new video tomorrow of doing a little bit more difficult questions compared to this, but it should be fine still. Okay, so I'll let you guys do that. Okay, so assuming you guys done that, let's go through it. So our equation, which is x squared plus 1 to the power 10 equals that. Okay, so that's right here. So to the power that equals 2x minus x squared minus 2, right? So what I want to do is find, okay, how many solutions does it have, or like what is it, right? The things that I'm looking through the options look a bit weird. Like has 20 real solutions, has x equals 2 as a solution, has an odd number solution. Okay, so I think let's start with an A and try and eliminate some of these. If it has x equals 2 as a solution, both sides should be equal. So if we're saying, okay, 2 squared plus 1 to the power 10, that is 5 to the power 10, okay, on my left hand side. My right hand side will be 2 to the power 2 minus 2 squared minus 2, and that is obviously not going to be equal to 5 to the 10, right? So instantly, right, we already eliminated A, right? And if you're stuck, you already increased your chances, right? You increase your chances by from 25% to around 33% of maybe guessing the question if you don't know what to do next. Now, x squared plus 1 to the 10 is something that is looking very unfamiliar. So I think what we should do is actually just focus on my right hand side here rather than my left hand side and try and sketch that, like try and figure out what's going on. So I probably want to find out the turning point, maybe to find the least part of it. So I can go minus x squared minus 2x minus 2 minus x minus 1 squared. Now this is all dependent on like how you guys complete the square, right? Don't know how you guys do it, but this is how I do it. And then you can go x minus 1 squared minus 1, right? Now, I think what you have to know, right, is that look at the power on here. It's a 10, right? That means that it's always going to be positive, right? Let's think about it. When you have like 3 and you add 3, right, and you square it, right, it gives you 9. If you do minus 3 squared, it gives you 9 as well. So that means for whatever x value it is, or minus x value, our squared function will always be positive, right? So our squared function will always be greater than 0, no matter what it is, right? Which will equal to 0 root of 0 squared. So now, if that is true, let's assume this x squared plus 1 graph looks, okay, across this 1 maybe, pretend whatever, it looks like this, right? Pretend. I don't know what it looks like. Now, you look at this graph, okay, and you go, okay, it crosses a minus 1. It's a negative graph, right? So that means that it goes somewhat like this, right? It's a negative graph, so it looks like this, right? Something like that, right? I don't know how to sketch it. Pretend you don't know how to sketch it. It looks something like that. And you go, okay, there's no region in which they intersect. So they do not intersect at all. This whole graph is positive. My x squared plus 1 to the power 10 is always positive, and this graph over here is negative, right? So it never intersects. So that has to be obviously B as my final answer. As a difficulty of a question, I do rate this a bit higher, of maybe 2 or 3 out of 10, 3 out of 5, sorry. Just because of the case, you probably haven't seen the x squared plus 1 to the power 10, but I think later on when you do this in summer, you'll probably figure out some of these like key things they normally ask in these questions. So they probably go like, okay, 10 is always positive and blah blah. Just find out the turning points. So I hope this video is useful for you guys about learning maybe a technique or two when doing these questions. And yeah, I'll carry this on tomorrow.